At 7 p.m. EWT, Eastern War Time, on August 14, 1945, President Harry Truman announced to a packed press conference that World War II had ended. It was Victory over Japan, VJ Day. Hearing the news, crowds that had stood all day in front of the White House set up a chant, "We want Harry." Truman, with his wife Bess at his side, shortly appeared on the lawn. "This is a great day," he said. "The day we've all been looking for. We face the greatest task, and it is going to take the help of all of you to do it." Joyous celebrations followed, enlivening a two-day holiday proclaimed by the president. In Harlem, the New York Times reported, couples jived in the streets and the crowd was so large that traffic was halted and sprinkler trucks were used to disperse pedestrians. In Italian-American sections of Brooklyn, tables were brought to the streets and food, wine, and liquor were offered to passers-by. In other cities, the story was much the same. Office workers in St. Louis dumped waste paper and bags filled with water from their windows, and cars dragged tin cans over the pavements. San Franciscans lit bonfires, pulled trolleys from the tracks, and spun the city's cable cars around on their turntables. In Seattle, a Navy petty officer walked hand in hand with his wife down a main street. Someone asked about his plans for the future. "Raise babies and keep house," he shouted happily as he stopped to kiss his wife. Not everyone, of course, was so joyful. In Memphis, a woman sat dejectedly on a park bench, a Navy Department telegram clutched in her hand. She was the latest of millions of Americans who lamented the loss of loved ones. 405,399 United States military personnel died as a result of war-related fighting, and 670,846 suffered non-fatal wounds. These were small numbers in the wider context of history's bloodiest war, which cost the lives of an estimated 60 million people throughout the world, including some 6 million European Jews murdered by the Nazis. Still, American casualties were heavy in contrast to other 20th century wars. World War I, for instance, had killed 116,516 Americans and wounded 204,002. Many people in the United States had other cause for concern in August 1945, uncertainty about the future. Some worried about the ability of Truman, new to the presidency, to cope with the post-war world, and especially with the Soviet Union. Other Americans were scared about the economy. Government defense spending, by far the largest public works project in the nation's history, had brought great prosperity to a nation that had suffered through the Depression in the 1930s. But officials at the War and Navy departments, frightened that surpluses would pile up, now began to cancel war orders. Some economists feared that the cutbacks, combined with the return to civilian life of 12.1 million military personnel, would lead to unemployment of 8 million people by early 1946. That would have been around 13% of the labor force. To people who vividly remembered the Great Depression, this prospect was unsettling indeed. The writer Bernard DeVoto recognized this and other concerns as sources of a fear which seems altogether new. It is not often acknowledged, but it exists, and it may well be the most truly terrifying phenomenon of the war. It is a fear of the coming of peace.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.